people are now celebrating the 10th anniversary of the handover. It took place on the 1st of July 1997, when the British government returned sovereignty of Hong Kong to China.
However, some of us still firmly insist that we are only citizens of Hong Kong and have yet to develop a sense of belonging to China. As citizens of Hong Kong, are we proud to belong to China once again? Or have the British influenced us too much? Together, we will explore this rather sensitive issue in our documentary.
First of all, we will tell you a little bit about Hong Kong's history. You will see how Hong Kong went from being a quiet fishing village to the international financial center it is today. And you will learn how Hong Kong was first colonized by the British and then returned to the Chinese.
In 1513, a Portuguese explorer named Alvarez sailed to seek trade relations with the Chinese. On the way, he landed in Hong Kong. At that time, Hong Kong was only a coastal island. Alvarez's discovery of Hong Kong began a new era in our fishing industry. Starting in 1839, China and Britain fought in the First Opium War, which started when a member of the Tsing government, Leung Tsz Ling, confiscated 20,000 chests of opium, bringing dissatisfaction to the British officials. The war ended in 1842 when the Chinese were defeated. The Treaty of Nanjing was the first unequal treaty signed by the British and the Chinese. The Tsing government was required to pay a total of $21 million to the British government and to release all British prisoners of war. They also handed over Hong Kong Island. Later, Britain insisted on renegotiating the Treaty of Nanjing. Their demands included opening all of China to British merchants, legalizing the opium trade, exempting foreign imports from internal transit duties, and other unfair rules. But the Tang Dynasty court rejected the demands, resulting in the Second Opium War. In October 1860, at the culmination of the Second Opium War, British troops entered the Forbidden City in Beijing. Following the defeat, Tang officials were compelled to sign the Convention of Peking, in which they ceded the Kowloon Peninsula to Britain in perpetuity. In 1898, the convention between Great Britain and China respecting an extension of Hong Kong territory was signed, and the new territories were leased to the British for 99 years. After ample planning, the handover ceremony was held on the 30th of June, 1997. The 1st of July, our establishment day, marked the end of British rule and the transfer of Hong Kong's sovereignty to Chinese rule, a turning point in Hong Kong's history.
One should think that Hong Kong citizens would be very proud to belong to China once again, after those long years of war. However, you might be surprised. We conducted a survey to see how Hong Kong citizens viewed their identity. And the whooping 2/3 of our interviewees said that they thought of themselves as Hong Kong people instead of Chinese people. We compared the results between interviewees of different age groups and backgrounds and came up with more interesting findings. When we looked at the results by age group, we realized that more interviewees in the younger age groups think of themselves as Hong Kong people, whereas majority of those in the older age groups think of themselves as Chinese people. Looking at the results by background, we saw some expected results. Every single one of our interviewees who grew up on the mainland still has a deep sense of belonging to China. But most of those who grew up here in Hong Kong and 3/4 of the Chinese people from overseas think of themselves as Hong Kong people. To ensure that we had collected accurate figures, we looked at other similar surveys conducted by various Hong Kong companies. According to the answers in the interview made by the Student Standard, most teenagers like to be Hong Kong people more than Chinese nationals. So why do people still think of themselves as Hong Kong people 10 whole years after the handover? We realize that many things in Hong Kong have remained pretty much the same since the time of British rule. Because of this, our lifestyles differ greatly from those of the mainland citizens. Being one of the 2 special administrative regions of China, Hong Kong enjoys many special arrangements under the one country, 2 systems. Firstly, we have our very own currency, Hong Kong dollars, unlike the mainland's renminbi. Secondly, our citizens enjoy more freedom than the people in the provinces of China. For example, we elect our own district and legislative councillors. Also, the death sentence is not a penalty in the judicial system of Hong Kong. Third, as Hong Kong is a special administrative region, its relationship with the mainland is different from the other provinces. Hong Kong is an individual member of many international organizations and functions, such as the Olympic Games. All these differences play a role in separating us from China.
Also, Hong Kong has maintained its very own special culture even after the handover. The distinguishing characteristics of our culture include our language, lifestyle, and food. First of all, we speak the dialect Cantonese in Hong Kong, whereas Mandarin is spoken on mainland China. Secondly, considering our lifestyles, Hong Kong is a top international financial center. Thus, our citizens are almost constantly communicating with different people from all over the world. Thus, Hong Kong is exposed to Western culture and is greatly influenced by it. Thirdly, both Western and Eastern holidays are celebrated in Hong Kong. We celebrate Chinese New Year and other Chinese festivals, as well as Christmas, Easter, and other Western holidays. Last but definitely not least, Hong Kong cuisine is very unique. It is best described as a fusion of Eastern and Western style cuisines. Our Eastern specialties include Chinese pastries and dim sum, Dai Pai Dongs, Buddhist cuisine, and Japanese restaurants galore. But there is also a great variety of Western cuisines available here, ranging from American to Italian to French. All the above are basis for the way Hong Kong citizens view themselves, as Hong Kong people and not Chinese people. On the other hand, the Hong Kong government is working very hard to educate the younger generations and help us develop a sense of belonging to China. Some teenagers who participated in our survey said that they think of themselves as Chinese people only because of the national education lessons that we were given in primary school.
So where will Hong Kong be after another 10 years? Will Hong Kong people's perspective change as China develops more? What will they think about their own identity? Will they be proud to tell others that they are Chinese? In the near future, Hong Kong will be closer in relationship with mainland China. More and more collaboration will be needed between the two lands. Will this make Hong Kong become more of a part of China? Who are you by then? A Hong Kong person or a Chinese? Think again.